Hey friends, Jordan Woods Robinson here from AMC's The Walking Dead and Blue Man Group, and this is PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture. We're a geek podcast for geek culture, so are you ready to get your geek on? Sit back, relax, grab some gluten-free, non-GMO popcorn, and let's dive into the world pop culture bliss.
I'm Lee from Just One More Fix, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network. Just like the show you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Captain's log supplemental.
PopXcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
By the power of Grayskull, transform. Excelsior!
All right, and welcome everyone. This is PopXcast, episode number 62, coming at you right here.
Hello, hello.
Hello, what's going on, amazing PopXers? How's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, fantastic, Joe.
Dude.
Fabulous.
Oh, you know what? It is really darn good to be back in this seat, man. After, you realize I survived Hurricane Irma, right?
You survived?
You're a survivor.
I survived Irma. I survived 110 mile per hour wind gusts.
Man, that's rough.
And
How
you
was
know
that,
what?
Joe?
It felt pretty good. This side of my face was pretty shaven. Alex changed me to one of the trees out front, so it was an amazing front row.
Got the brunt forth of
yeah,
it.
Yeah, it was great though. You know, having front row seats to a major category catastrophe hurricane, it was great. But anyway, you know, it is. I'm very lucky and blessed. We actually didn't get by with very little damage. We got a few shingles ripped up, and that's just about it. So, knock on wood, we were really blessed to
Lucky ducks.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. But so, anyways, moving along. How's everybody's week before we get any further? Austin, Lindsay, anything fun going on in your world?
Good, just trudging along through school. You know how that goes. Looking forward to PopXcast.
I had a glorious full week without my husband. He was at training.
Wow.
What a way to start that sentence.
Wow.
No, it was. I missed him a lot. He's back home, and we're all happy to have him back safe and sound, and he's happy to be back too. So we're just getting things back to normal out of a little bit of off week being the single parent for the week.
Yeah.
But it's been fun, and I'm looking forward to getting back into the action of normal routine, getting back into the podcasting because I missed you guys.
Oh, it's been forever. It's been too long.
You know what, though? It's going to be good. October's going to be a great month already. I can just see it. So we got some cool stuff lined up for you by the end of the podcast we'll share with you. But before that, guys, let's say hello to our friends out there. So, hey, guys, welcome to PopX, where science fiction meets pop culture. I'm your host, Joseph Burke, Central Florida's seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast. We'd like to welcome everyone joining us live here in the PopX.live chat room or the Geeks.live chat room. Come hang out with us and join the conversation at PopXcast.com.
And I am Austin Burke, the Appalachian Geek at Heart. If you guys missed episode 61 where we talked about the Defenders, that was cool. Check our official website at PopXcast.com for this and other great past shows from PopX.
That's right. And I'm Lindsay Badger, your favorite geeky okie. Be sure after the show to head over to either Google Play or iTunes or both because, you know, you love us that much. Yes. Click on that subscribe button. Catch up on some of the amazing shows from the PopX archive. And while you're there, we'd certainly appreciate you showing us some love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review.
Yes. All right. Thank you, guys. Miss Lindsay Badger, Mr. Austin Burke, and Mike Ippolito up in Atlanta. Let's kick this off. This is news. We'll be right back.
Extra, extra, read all about it. This is PopX News, coming to you live right here on PopXcast.com.
All right, and so yesterday we celebrated the annual fan event, Batman Day. Now, it's in its 4th year, and it was first introduced to honor Batman's 75th anniversary. Just a couple of years ago, that was a big event for DC. So this year, in honor of Harley Quinn's 25th, oh my God, Harley Quinn's 25, y'all. Batman Day will also feature the immensely popular Clown Princess of Crime, continuing the Batman Day tradition. Now, DC Entertainment has combined forces with thousands of comic book retailers, bookstores, schools, libraries across the country to bring fans these exciting festivities. Now, from what I gather, now this is just me, when they did the 75th, if you go to a local library or you go to a bookstore, an actual bookstore, that day, the day of the anniversary, they'll give you a free copy and a poster of that special anniversary issue.
Wow.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but so what I did, we had a Barnes & Noble at the time here locally. I just went to the Barnes & Noble, and there it was, right on the table, free. And I grabbed one for myself and one for my friend, and I'm just like, this is cool. This is great.
That's really cool. I still can't believe Batman's that old, let alone Harley Quinn. 25 years of Harley Quinn?
I know, man.
Animated series is that? Oh.
Now, here's a little pop question. Where was Harley Quinn first introduced?
Was it the animated series?
It was the animated series. There you go. Good job, Austin.
Trivia, knowledge, nerdiness. It's great. All right, so let's move on. We're talking about the Power Rangers reboot star Ludi Lin will get another big superhero movie role when he appears in James Wan's Aquaman next year, the first solo film release after Justice League this fall. That's a while away, man. In a recent radio interview, Lin was describing the Aquaman movie and said that James Wan described his vision as, listen to this, Star Wars underwater, because it is. As Lynn explains, the difference between Aquaman and the other superheroes in the DC universe is that it exists almost in a different world. All the physics are different, and their weapons are different. The characters are very unique. It's just super cool. So, Star Wars underwater. What do you guys think?
I love it. Let's see it happen. I'm all about Star Wars.
This is kind of like the water. This is kind of like, the water level on Donkey Kong Country. You're going along good and you're hopping on some barrels, and all of a sudden there's an underwater level, and you're like, what? That's kind of cool if you think about it. I mean, because the Tritons and the scepters that they wield does shoot out energy weapons, I guess you would call them. So that does kind of make sense with but would the pew pew more be of a
yeah.
Please tell me they have sharks with freaking laser beams on their head.
Hey, there's not sharks with lasers.
There may be.
Disappointing.
It'd be funny though, because will the director throw some nods to some great underwater movies that have been filmed? There's several that come to mind in terms of aliens and Discovery. So
yes,
I'm curious to see if they'll throw any of those out. But
The Abyss, anybody? The Abyss.
I love The Abyss. It's one of my favorite. Yeah.
Well, since we're talking Star Wars, let's just go right into the next little news bit here. Lucasfilm has released a brand new trailer for Star Wars Rebels. The 4th and final season of the animated series is shaping up to be an epic affair as the Ghost Crew barrels towards the events of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and A New Hope. Star Wars Rebels is set to premiere with a 1-hour episode on Monday, October 16th, with repeat airings throughout the day on Disney XD.
Very cool. That's something I seriously need to get into, because I heard that the Rogue One and a couple of the other series are just the Clone Wars. I hear that they are just excellent, and I swear I need to get into on that. There's just so many shows right now that's going on. Personally, I'm pretty amped up for Stranger Things season 2.
Oh man,
I can't.
That's next.
But
that's on the list.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one.
I've been antsy for that series for a year now.
Yeah, you're not the only
one. Is it here yet?
But,
no, dang it.
Well, talking about the Arrowverse and some of those shows, one of the best villains from Arrow's early years made a triumphant return in Season 5 finale with Oliver Queen recruiting the lethal mercenary Deathstroke to aid in him in his battle against the Prometheus antagonist, if you will. Now, Slade Wilson will continue to play the role in the future episodes of Arrow as an actor. Manu Bene recently revealed a photo wearing the famous eye patch of his character on social media. So will we see more of Deathstroke in seasons
I hope
to come?
so. I hope
You
so.
know what?
I would love to. I would love to.
Deathstroke.
Deathstroke in season 1 and 2, and I think he even went into season 3 maybe. I don't know how far his character went. I can't remember, but I think he was one of the best antagonists against Arrow. He grounded him. Yeah. It was amazing, and of course, Benet done such an amazing job in acting that role as Slade Wilson, or should we say Wade Wilson? Oh wait, is it Slade Wilson?
Pretty much. I mean, pretty much Wade Wilson. No, but listen, I think the coolest thing about this is that, well, not cool for the DCEU, because what they're doing is he was in the original script for the Batman movie that's coming out, but since they rewrote it, the rumors are that they kind of phased him out. So since they're phasing him out of the actual universe, they're bringing him back into the TV universe, which means I think we're going to get a lot of them. And I think that'll be super cool because he's pretty much everybody's favorite villain of the Arrowverse.
Pretty much.
I was starting to get tired of Prometheus, so I'm glad we're phasing. Yeah.
We need change.
And real
Prometheus
quick,
is so over it.
Before we go any further, I want to give a few shout-outs. I want to say hello to Stacy Bryuka joining us. What's up, my dear? We got Darth Baca, Anna. What's up, Anna? Good to see you. And we got Gwen's dad and just a few others. Hey, guys, take a moment. Share this feed out on your Twitter, on your Facebook.
Share the love.
And while we're live, let's get some people in here, okay? Now, on to the news. All right, back.
Hi.
Here we
On
go.
to the next one. Let's do this. Okay, so this past week, the Hellboy reboot was scheduled to begin filming in the UK. David Harbour, who looks just awesome as Hellboy from Stranger Things. Oh my God, from Stranger Things has been cast to play Hellboy, while Mia Jovovich to bring Nemu. Am I saying this right?
Yeah,
Nemu to life. Hellboy has also cast Ian McShane to play Trevor Brutenholm, the adoptive father of Hellboy. The film is about Hellboy going to England, where he must defeat Nemu, Merlin's consort and the Blood Queen. But their battle will bring about the end of the world, a fate he desperately tries to turn away. The film is slated to hit theaters in 2018. Are you guys excited? I mean,
dude. I mean, with no disrespect whatsoever to Ron Perlman or the legacy he left behind, but I have to say, look at just look at this.
He looks better.
I approached this with hesitation because I loved the first one so much that I was like, "There's no way."
Did you see part 2 though, The Golden Army?
Seeing the bits come out, the makeup, I'm okay with it right now. Please don't disappoint me. Please don't disappoint me.
So,
oh my goodness!
I'm
Well,
personally
guys,
excited for it.
I think it's good. It'll be good. Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
I'm still not sure.
All right, where are we at? Go ahead.
All right. Well, it looks like the Watchmen television series is actually becoming a reality. Yes. The Hollywood Reporter is confirming that the series is officially moving forward at HBO with a pilot order and additional scripts. Lost and The Leftovers alum Damien Lindelof, the possibility of a Watchmen series at HBO has been floated around for quite some time, and the premium cable network first confirmed talks about the project back in 2015 before development was officially announced back in June of this year. And that's pretty much all the information we have right now. But guys, we're going to get a Watchmen series.
That's exciting.
Really cool.
Well, you know what? It kind of makes sense because they're appealing to the Game of Thrones crowd, which is more into the majestical, phantasm.
And Game of Thrones' last season is next summer, so
they need a replacement.
They're going to have something to replace
Watchmen. That makes sense. Wow.
I like the movie, but even for us fans who really enjoyed the movie, I'm not opposed to seeing a TV version, because this is something that is built for television. It's built for long form storytelling, and I think they can do it justice. And if we have 2 good iterations of The Watchmen, I'm fine with that. I think that'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the original film, And I actually read the book during my college years, and so that was definitely enlightening to see an alternate 1985. But I don't want to spoil it too much for you. All right, so moving on here with gears, as Star Trek is making its television comeback, and the early reactions suggest that Star Trek Discovery will give fans what they've been asking for. Star Trek Discovery made its world premiere at the ArcLight Cinema Dome in Hollywood, and the early reactions from the premiere should help put those fears to bed. Now, one of the buzzwords was cinematic, quote-unquote, suggesting that CBS has achieved the highest budget film quality prestigious television version of Star Trek ever.
Wow.
Now, several others also admitted that the show is absolutely worth getting CBS All Access subscription just to watch. Now, Star Trek Discovery premieres September the 24th tonight on CBS All Access. So the brand new Star Trek begins. And before we go on to the next, can I say right quick my Star Trek news?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, share it. It's really cool.
I get to go to MegaCon next weekend, and my father and I get to sit down with Mr. James T. Kirk, William Shatner himself, and have a family photo op. My father introduced me to Star Trek, and so I introduced my wife to Star Trek, and so the legacy continues on, and we get to meet James T. Kirk himself. So I'm pretty darn excited about that.
That's awesome.
That's all I got to say about that.
Oh, that is so cool. You know what else is cool?
What's that?
Guardians of the Galaxy. With all eyes on the return of Star-Lord and company in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Did you like that segue? And in the wake of its success, talk was already turning to a third film. James Gunn is back on board and already dropping a ton of hints. Gunn has said that this film will serve as the epic conclusion to the story he began back in 2014, and said that the movie will bring an end to the current iteration of the team, adding, "Who knows who will take up the mantle after that?" Also, Gunn is working on the soundtrack for the third installment and has narrowed it down to, listen to this, 181 songs, as he still has a ways to go. Currently, the film is set for a 2020 release date. Are you guys excited for Guardians 3? Excited for the epic conclusion? And you excited to see how many songs are in the movie?
Do I have to wait that long? Oh my god!
It's a long time.
I thought waiting a year for Stranger Things was bad. I had to wait till 2020.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, though, we're going to have 2 years back-to-back of Avengers. So,
that's
true.
Oh, well, I guess that'll distract me for a while.
2018's Infinity War, then 2019 is Infinity 2 or
and
whatever.
maybe someday they'll decide when that Batman movie's coming out.
And, you know, it kind of makes sense. I mean, I know that Marvel has kind of destroyed their timeline with like things like Spider-Man Homecoming, which kind of like skews the timeline a little bit cinematically.
Yes,
There's some definite plot holes there, but I think honestly with Guardians of the Galaxy, if you think about it from a franchise perspective, so we have the Avengers Infinity War. We're leading up to the climactic ending of what we call the modern day Avengers. And I'm pretty sure that the Guardians of the Galaxy is going to take place right after that, and that's going to be the unwinding of that group and that team as well. So you're going to see that come together. But that's going to be pretty exciting to watch, but kind of sad at the same time because we've grown pretty fond of some of our heroes, and we don't know which ones are going to die yet. So
yeah,
it's true.
Yes, there will be death. I hate to say it, but anyway. Yes. All right, so guys, are you ready to get into this week's Hot Topic episode?
Well, did you want to mention your bonus episode that you did last weekend?
Oh, I guess
before we go into the topic,
give me that.
All right, give me just a second here because I got a couple things to pull up. I got the Marvel vs. Capcom Collector's Edition box set this past week, and so there is a bonus episode that is before this one. If you subscribe to the podcast, you'll be able to see it. Now, it's only the video-only mode. Now, I didn't actually do an audio podcast of this because why would you want to do an unboxing of an audio-only? That doesn't make sense. So yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, here's the Infinity Gauntlet.
Hear a lot of crinkling.
You can't see it.
It's so pretty.
It's so pretty. And see, I can't do that.
Look at all the colors.
But here's what I am going to do is I am going to switch over to a video here to show you guys really quick just kind of some of the things that is in this game. This is some of the video that I recorded on my PlayStation 4 today, and this is Thor with his unlocked Thor Gladiator and Hulk Gladiator. Of course, you get the Gladiator outfits when you purchase the Deluxe Edition or above, and so this is Thor looking pretty cool and Gladiator-ish. And this is just kind of a collection of montage, if you will, some of their hits and some of their new costumes. But you guys can't see this, but
I just had a moment. Well, I have it over here on my screen. I was like, wait, I can't see it. And then I'm like, oh, yeah.
Oh, there it
I
is.
have to look on the actual
But,
video.
so Thor and Hulk are going at it. So this is kind of foreshadowing Thor Ragnarok a little bit. So it's kind of cool. So the characters
That's
are
pretty
awesome.
sweet.
So that's what we got there. So that turned out really well. And the video game itself, I love Injustice more because its physiology and its mechanics work a lot better. But at the same time, for someone who is either an entry-level player or a really supremely advanced player, can play Marvel vs. Capcom. Because there's several styles that it caters to that if you're a novice and you have no idea what you're hitting and you're hitting buttons, you can probably play. Or if you're really advanced, you know what button combinations to hit to be able to do the 70 and 100 combo hits. So it depends on your level.
I'm one of those button mashers, so I would have to have that mode put in there.
Lindsay's a button masher.
I'm a button masher.
But,
Make it go!
You know, before we go on, though, I do have this really cool thing I will share with you. This is one of the things that was in the actual collector's set, and before I open it, I'm actually going to go ahead and turn the gems on. This is the Infinity Stones.
Oh, yeah.
And so check that out. Isn't that cool? So they kind of glow, and it's like a 3D looking plastic. They kind of look like they're moving around and stuff. It's kind of neat. But so yeah,
Marvel's been looking for him for the last 7 years, and they've been right there in Joe's house.
Right here, right here.
He just call and tell him. He's. I mean, they're so close
Joe,
to Marvel
I've got
now.
him.
You know, I was told I got a great set of stones.
Oh my gosh! Okay, time to get to the topic, boys. Time to get to the topic. I'm gonna shift.
Let's do a little shift here. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and swift thing. Did you? What is it?
Thanks for the show and tell, though.
You're welcome. All right, we're going to move things over now to the top 10 most underrated comic book films. Now, when I first came up with this list, I'm thinking about films that you may have seen maybe 10 years ago, but you forgot about. You didn't really even realize it was based off of a comic book after just watching the film. And so some of these movies you're definitely going like, okay, I definitely know that was an old school comic. So we're hopefully going to go through some of these and give you some descriptions of the movies as well as how they fared at the box office. And dare I say it, we're even going to do ratings. We're going to give you, all right, so what is Rotten Tomatoes saying about this movie currently here in 2017? So we're going to kind of give you an insight of where it's go. Now, you can never actually go off of Rotten Tomatoes. I just want to say that right up front. Always go and see a movie and enjoy it for what it is, okay? Never let Rotten Tomatoes determine what it is that you want to watch because they screw it up a lot.
They're liars a lot.
So, having said that, we're going to kick it off this week. If you guys got any questions over in the chat room while we're doing this, or if you have a film that we haven't mentioned or whatever, let us know. Chime in. We want you guys to be an interactive part of this as well. So the first movie right off the top of the bat, and this is one of my favorites, and it is Kick-Ass. Now, it was released in April the 16th, 2010. And Kick-Ass is a creator-owned comic book series written by Mark Miller and illustrated by John Romita Jr. Now, let me pause right there. John Romita Sr. helped Stan Lee create some of the most iconic artworks. If you ever heard of the Romita family in comic books, you just need to pause right there. So this is John Romita Sr.'s son working on this. And it is the story of Dave Lazowski. He's a teenager who puts out to become a real-life superhero. Now, using his love for comics as an inspiration, the teenager Dave, or as Aaron Johnson as we know him in the Hollywood world, decides to reinvent himself as a superhero. Now, despite a complete lack of special powers, Dave dons a costume and dubs himself Kick-Ass. And so he is in the, what would you call that, like teal? Is that like teal and gold?
It's kind of like sea green.
Sea foam, maybe.
Cute green.
Sea foam, I don't know. So so he joins forces with his father-daughter vigilante team of Big Daddy and Hit Girl. Now, Big Daddy and Hit Girl, that's Nick Cage, rocking it. Enjoy it.
It's cool.
So and then he befriends another fledgling crime fighter called Red Mist. But a scheming monster soon puts their alliance to the test. Now, so when we're talking about the film Kick-Ass, we know it spawned a sequel, so it had to do somewhat decent at the box office, right?
No.
Yeah.
So this is domestically, Kick-Ass grossed around $96.2 million, with a budget of $30 million. Now, the film overall maintains a 75% approval rating over on Rotten Tomatoes, with a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb. So this is based off of number one. So most of the time, so when a film does really well, they will schedule a follow up or a third. For example, there's Hellboy had two. So, but the next one up, and this one is kind of old school. Now this goes way back to the 30s. This is Dick Tracy. And Dick Tracy is an old school. Everybody remember Madonna in this movie?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Weird, but
it was
cool.
Weird. It was weird, but cool. She played the dame. But released September the 27th, 1990. Wait, that's next weekend. Wow. So this movie is what, 1990? It is 27 years old.
Man, I'm gonna have to watch it just for that.
All right,
I
so
love this movie.
Dick Tracy is an American comic strip featuring Dick Tracy. Originally, Plainclothes Tracy was what he was called in the old strips. Now, a tough, intelligent police detective created by Chester Gould. Now, the strip made its debut on October the 4th, 1931 in the Detroit Mirror. Wow. It was described by the Chicago Tribune New York series. It was later distributed, so they started getting some franchise opportunities. New York News Syndicate, and then hard-boiled detective Dick Tracy, basically with the movie, is searching for evidence that proves Alfonsi, big boy, Caprice, is the city's most dangerous crime boss. Now, he may have found the key to unraveling the crime lord's illegal empire in Breathless Mahoney, Breathless Mahoney is Madonna.
Yeah.
And an enigmatic, I can never say that word, enigmatic, all right, I'm just going to go on, ballroom singer who has witnessed some of the Caprice's crimes firsthand. So she's kind of seen him doing some bad stuff. So, however, she seems more set on stealing Dick away from, it sounds so funny, from his girlfriend than helping him solve the case of the career. So now let's talk about box office for a second. Now, at the box office, Dick Tracy grossed $162.7 million. This is in 1990, awesome, ladies and gentlemen. And that was just in the United States alone, and won an Academy Award for Best Production Design and Makeup. An Academy Award. Now, the movie garners only a 64% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Now, before we go on to the next one, have you guys seen Dick Tracy at least?
I've seen Dick Tracy. I remember the cartoons from whenever we were kids. Yep. I remember Mumbles, from the movie was just like one of my favorites. So
that's pretty much it. So Dick Tracy, and it's kind of weird though. We live in an era now where we have the Apple Watch, and the Apple Watch, strikingly looks like Dick Tracy.
Yeah. My dad just got the Samsung watch, and he's like, calling all cars. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, you're not doing Dick Tracy references right now.
Stop it.
That's awesome.
Stop it, Dad.
All right, Austin, what two do you got for us?
All right, well, first off, I'm so glad I'm able to talk about this movie. It is one of my favorites in my top 20 superhero movies of all time. It is called Unbreakable. It was released November 14th, 2000. Gosh, that's a long time ago. So this is a movie about David Dunn, who is played by Bruce Willis post Die Hard. He is the sole survivor of a devastating train wreck, and Elijah Price, who is played by Samuel L. Jackson, is a mysterious stranger who offers a bizarre explanation as to why David escaped without a single scratch. An explanation which threatens to change David's family and his life forever. Unbreakable is a 2000 American superhero thriller film written, produced, and directed by a man whose name was in the dirt for a while, even after this movie, M. Night Shyamalan. But I will say this is my favorite movie over The Sixth Sense of M. Night Shyamalan. Over The Sixth Sense. That's rare, but I love this movie.
I agree.
It's just awesome, and it stars, of course, Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, alongside Robin Wright and Spencer Treat Clark, who actually they just announced will be back for a movie coming out that is kind of we're talking about the movie. So Split,
you're talking about Split, yeah.
Split is a sequel to Split is a sequel to Unbreakable, and then Glass, they just announced that Spencer Clark will be back for that, as well as Bruce Willis and the stars of Split. So we're getting another
Bruce
Unbreakable.
Willis had a cameo at the end of Split. Did you see it?
He did. It was it's still to today one of my favorite scenes of 2017 is when he shows up in Split. If you guys haven't seen Split, go back and watch this, then watch that. But Unbreakable it turned into a classic of sorts, a cult classic. We're going to talk about the box office real quick. It was released in the United States on November 22nd in 2,708 theaters and grossed $30.3 million in its opening weekend, finishing second at the box office. It ended up earning $95 million. Now, you wouldn't think, those are numbers that are going to get a sequel, but the budget wasn't too big, and there was never an actual sequel plan. There were rumors and whatnot, but then we get Split. Now we're getting Glass. This movie made an impact, and I cannot wait to see the finale of the trilogy. Do you guys like Unbreakable? Well, what's your thoughts about it?
I'm trying to remember if I've actually seen it.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites.
I think I haven't seen this one, and I'm quite curious about it.
Mr. Glass, Mr. Glass, who is played by Samuel L. Jackson, he has this rare bone condition, and if he falls, he fractures his whole body. That's why they call him Mr. Glass, and that's played by Sam Jackson. And then Bruce Willis is the indestructible man. He survived an entire train crash with nothing, so he deflects bullets. He doesn't get. I mean, he's almost like Luke Cage in a sense.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Much. So
it's a great comparison.
Nice.
And I love throughout the whole film, you don't know it's a superhero movie until you get to the main end, and then you're like, wow, he's the good guy, he's the villain. And there's a line that Samuel L. Jackson said in this movie. He says, "I am the brains." He says something about how he's the brains and he needs the brawn. Well, in the next movie, James McAvoy's character will be the brawn to his brains. So you have the Emperor, you have Darth Vader, and then you have the good guy. I can't wait to see that dynamic play out. So it'll be super cool. So the next movie we're talking about is throwback The Rocketeer, released June 21st, 1991, a year after I was no, that's not. I was born in 1995. I lied to you. The Rocketeer is a fictional superhero appearing in American comic books, originally published by Pacific Comics. Remember that? Created by writer-artist Dave Stevens, the character first appeared in 1982 and is an homage to the Saturday matinee series. I didn't know this. Serial heroes from the 1930s through the 1950s. The character was adopted into the 1991 Walt Disney Pictures film, The Rocketeer, directed by Joe Johnston of Captain America, the First Avenger fame. Cliff Seckard, Bill Campbell, is a cocky stunt pilot in love with a beautiful actress, Jenny Blake, played by Jennifer Connelly. When he discovers that a jetpack is hidden in a biplane, Cliff straps on the rocket, dons a flashy helmet, and becomes the high-flying hero known as the Rocketeer. But when, listen to this, Nazis want to use the rocket as a weapon, Cliff must use his alter ego to both protect Jenny from the evil actor Timothy Dalton and save the day in this period adventure based on the comic books by Dave Stevens. Now, this movie is definitely of its time, but it's one of those movies, I went back and watched it a few years ago. It doesn't hold up completely, but it's a ton of fun. This movie is so much fun. It's very heartfelt, and personally, I love it. Now, let's talk about the box office real quick. The film only earned $9.6 million domestically in 1,600 theaters, opening in the fourth spot opening weekend. The film received mixed reviews from critics based on 58 reviews collected by Rotten Tomatoes. 62% of the critics enjoyed The Rocketeer with an average score of a 6 out of 10. So what are you guys' thoughts on The Rocketeer?
I think it's
it's very much a classic, and I have a fantastic childhood memory tied with this movie. Obviously 91, I was in the first grade. Okay, so this goes way back for me. This was the first movie that I saw in a drive-in movie theater.
Oh, a drive-in theater.
It is the very first experience of seeing it on the TV, on the big screen. You sat in your car with a bucket of popcorn, and you pulled they had the radio stations tuned in, so you didn't have a speaker thing or anything. But you could tune your radio station, and as you drove away, you could still hear the radio for a few miles, you know. It was such a cool introduction to that experience, because it really is, it's a full new experience and way to watch a movie, and that was definitely going to stick in my mind for the rest of my life from the first grade.
Wow.
So
that is a pretty cool first grade.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool memory for The Rocketeer. It was a great movie. I enjoyed it. I remember it.
Well, you got a couple for us too, don't you?
I do have a couple, and this one's a really cool one. I'm excited I get to tell you guys about Sin City. Released April 1st of 2005. Sin City was a series of neo-noir comic books by Frank Miller, an American writer and artist, and the first story originally appeared in the Dark Horse Presents 5th Anniversary Special in April of 1991, and continued in the Dark Horse Presents numbers 51 through 62 from May 1991 to June 1992. Under the title of Sin City, it was serialized into 13 parts. 4 tales of a crime adapted from Frank Miller's popular comics, focusing around a muscular brute who's looking for the person responsible for the death of his beloved Goldie. A man fed up with Sin City's corrupt law enforcement who takes the law into his own hands after a horrible mistake. A cop who risks his life to protect a girl from a deformed pedophile, and a hitman looking to make a little cash. Which is such a good movie.
It's a great movie.
It's such a good movie. And it did pretty good in the movie theaters, too. It grossed $29.1 million on its opening weekend, defeating the fellow opener Beauty Shop by more than twice its opening take. The film saw a sharp decline in its second weekend, dropping over 50%, and ratings were still reign high with a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 8 out of 10 on the IMDb. This is one of my husband's favorite movies.
Yeah,
I've seen this movie 1,000 times. I love the artistic take on storytelling. You think, oh, it's a black and white movie. No, it is not a black and white movie.
No, it's not.
It is so much more than that. And if you haven't taken the chance on watching this movie, I really encourage you to.
Darth Bach over in the chat room says that he saw this movie in the theater.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
It was so good. It was so
awesome.
good. All right, and my next movie, didn't they come up with a sequel for Sin City before I go on to the next?
Yeah, they released one about 3 years ago, wasn't it? Sin City.
Okay.
A Dame to Kill For.
A Dame to Kill For. That's what it was, and I haven't watched that. I haven't
seen. Austin, did you see that one?
I watched it. It was, it's 3 different stories. I loved one of the stories. The other 2 I weren't too hot on. So the movie as a whole, I was kind of like, yeah, it didn't live up to the first one. It's still, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. But cool. The first Sin City is more than fine. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you guys.
Yes, that's definitely one you need to add to the list. Yeah. There's definitely some vulgarity in it, if that offends you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Don't watch it with kids around. Come on.
Oh, no, it's not a kid's show.
Play it safe.
Yes. All right. Well, number 6 tonight is The Shadow.
Oh.
The Shadow Knows.
The Shadow Knows.
It released July 1st of 1994. The Shadow is the name of a collection of serialized dramas, originally in the 1930s pulp novels, and then it was in a wide variety of media, and also used to refer to the character featured in the Shadow media. One of the most famous adventure heroes of the 20th century in the United States, and the Shadow has been featured on the radio in a long-running pulp magazine series, in comic books, comic strips, television, serials, video games, and at least 5 films. Dude, that is some popular content right there. Yeah. The radio drama included episodes voiced by Orson Welles, and it was set in the 1930s New York. A reformed criminal becomes a superhero with the aid of a beautiful female friend. A playboy millionaire with a dark past sets out to bring evil, and the Shiwan Khan. I always say shy. It's Shiwan Khan to justice. His quarry, he's determined to attain the world domination, and is deadly is a deadly descendant of Genghis Khan and will not surrender without a fight. The film was meant to be a summer blockbuster and the starting point for a new film franchise with toy, game, and clothing lines. However, the film suffered from the competition of its target audience with, among others, The Lion King. During its early run, The Mask later on, and it's ultimately a financial disappointment. And the film started off strongly, debuting at number 2, but failed to sustain any momentum and grossed only $32 million domestically, with a worldwide total of $48 million against a budget of $40 million. So they just barely squeaked by on this one, you guys. The planned franchise never materialized, and sadly, The Shadow maintains a sluggish 35% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6 out of 10 on the IMDb.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a meh movie.
The Shadow was a great movie, and it was what was one of the guys that wasn't I'm trying to remember. He's the guy that plays Trump on SNL. Shoot. Didn't he play
Alec Baldwin?
Didn't he play, or was that the
he played the Shadow?
He was
guy.
the Shadow, wasn't he?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yes.
I
can't remember.
Yes, you remember correctly.
I can't remember.
Yes.
All right.
You remember
anyway.
correctly.
Well, I think it was Alec Baldwin. I had to do that just to
I remember listening to some recordings of the radio show, and it was really entertaining.
Cool. Yeah, the old school ones.
The old school ones, like 1930s style for sure. That's awesome. It was really, really cool. So I think maybe they should revisit this topic whenever Disney isn't releasing one of its vault classics and try to pull something good.
I remember something about like around 2nd or 3rd grade, my teacher, our form of entertainment, if we were good boys and girls and did our work on time, we would get a record story time. And so, yes, we're talking like 1984 here, okay? So my teacher would pull out the old record player, and put on. And one of the ones that we had to do was an exercise one, which is like exercise with Mickey Mouse. It was totally absurd. But but the second one was kind of a suspense thriller, and it was The Flash. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was Orson Welles. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. But that was awesome. 2nd grade, 1984, I think, maybe 85. That
may have been where I heard it, is on a record somewhere. It wasn't in the 80s, though.
We're going into the last 4 here of the list, and we're coming down towards number 7 and number 8. Now, mind you, these are in no particular order. We're not ranking these or anything. But now number 7 is probably, now this is a film that I get along with. This is Spawn, Todd McFarlane's Spawn. Now, it was released August the 1st, 1997, and it's coming up on its 20th anniversary, I think. My goodness.
Is. Wow.
So Spawn is a fictional character and an anti-hero that appears in a monthly comic book of the same name published by Image Comics. Now created by Todd McFarlane, one of my favorite artists ever.
The Todd father.
Todd the father McFarlane.
The Todd father.
So the character first appeared in Spawn number 1 in May 1992. I actually have it. So working at Marvel while developing Spawn, Todd left the comic giant to start Image Comics and launch his own titles. Now, an assassin named Al Simmons, this is in Spawn, is double-crossed and murdered by the evil boss, Jason Wynn. Now, Al makes a deal with the devil and returns to Earth as a spawn to see his wife. But he is ordered by the devil's minion, the Clown, to kill Wynn. Now, Wynn has made a deal with the Clown, too, and is supposed to destroy the world with a deadly virus that will help start Armageddon and allow hell to attack heaven. Demonics. So, but anyway, Spawn must choose between good and evil, and the film and the comics have, quote-unquote, spawned a mini-graphic adult horror cartoon series that even aired on HBO in 1998. I believe there's about 10 comic cartoon episodes, and is now, as of today, being developed into a brand new reboot film coming out in just a couple of years. Todd McFarlane signed on a deal, and it's going to be really awesome.
Direct.
I know.
He's directing.
He's directing it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, not only is he writing it, he's directing it.
Yeah.
So Spawn was released, like we said, August 1st, 97. It grossed $19.7 million opening weekend. not a big one. It's ranking in the second behind Air Force One. Oh, I know that movie. For its second week, the film dropped to number 3 at the box office, reflecting a decreased earnings of 54.7% and a gross of $8.9 million. Now, the film was considered a modest box office success. Based on a $40 million budget, it grossed $54.8 million domestically. However, on Rotten Tomatoes, they give the film a horrible 18% rating. I couldn't believe that. And IMDb gives it a 5.2 out of 10. Now, I don't think the film was that bad, but an 18% rating, man, you can't win them all, right?
Yeah, that's low. I didn't think it would be that low.
I didn't think it was that low. I would say like 45%.
Yeah, like 40, something
40, 45, but not
hence the reason why we only take the Rotten Tomatoes with a grain of salt.
Well, I mean, it is the percentage of people, like, so that means 18% of critics gave it a a 5 or low, or a 6 or higher, as opposed to everybody else giving it a 5 or lower. But even then, it's like that many people didn't want to give this movie a 6 or higher.
And, it's not that bad of a film for being released in 97. Well, in 90, I guess it was 98, going into 90, 97, 98. But you think about the graphic visuals of the time. This is one of the very first movies we actually saw the full scope of what CGI can do.
The CGI, absolutely.
And if you remember, the cape was one of the ones that was totally fully CGI. Now, if you go back and watch it, especially on an HD version, you're going to see some pretty bad editing, in terms of the CGI work that was done. You're like, oh, this is not good at all. This is not good.
But of the time,
yes.
It's one that
at least it's not Lawnmower Man CGI.
You're talking 97, so throw him a bone, boys. Throw him a bone. Come on.
I mean, Jurassic Park came out in 94, blew away the box office.
Ooh,
just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
Just saying.
That's Spielberg, though. Come on.
He's got money.
That's a great point. That's great.
Well, anyway, moving on. So I'm really actually happy to be able to give you this one. And we were just talking about this, and I had Mike put this in the news just for this. Hellboy is coming in at number 8, and this is one of my favorite too. Now, released on April the 2nd, 2004, Hellboy is a fictional superhero created by writer Mike Mignola. Now, the character first appeared in San Diego Comic-Con Comics number 2, and that was in August of 93, and has since appeared in various Eponymous miniseries, one-shots, and intercompany crossovers owned by Dark Horse Comics. Now, at the end of World War II, the Nazis attempt to open a portal to a paranormal dimension in order to defeat the Allies, but are only able to summon a baby demon who is rescued by Allied forces and dubbed the Hellboy, a.k.a. Ron Perlman. 60 years later, Hellboy serves as the agent in the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, where he is aided by Abe Sapien, who is Doug Jones, a merman with psychic powers, and Liz Sherman, that's Selma Blair, who is a woman with, pyrokinesis, and protects America against the dark forces. Now, Hellboy's box office succeeds spawned a sequel, and that would be in 2008, one called The Golden Army. Now, it is getting close. One of the reasons why we had the news segment, we're getting a reboot. Obviously, we're getting a reboot. So it's coming. The story's done. The production's already there. So pretty excited for it. Now, the film opened in wide release on April the 2nd, 2004, where it grossed $23.1 million in 3,028 theaters on its opening weekend, and it went on to gross $59.7 million here in North America domestically, and $39.7 million the rest of the world, for a worldwide $99.4 with a budget of $66 million. So they got a little bank on it.
They made a couple pennies off of that.
And it steadily maintains its 81% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which is good, and it's almost a number 7 out of 10 over on IMDb at 6.8. So
that's pretty good.
The franchise has proven really successful, and a lot of people like the Hellboy character, and I think that's why we're getting the reboot. So we're going to be able to explore that world of Hellboy more.
I would have liked to have seen another sequel to this, and I think one of the reasons that we ended up not getting one is because, you know, the studio, he was asking for a $200 million budget for the third one because he's like, that's the only way, Guillermo del Toro, he's like, that's the only way I can do it is if I have a budget that big. And the studio's like, well, you didn't collect the change that we wanted to. So they're scrapping that. They're rebooting, low budget, kind of like a horror style film. But I think that's cool because the first Hellboy had a comedic tone. I believe this one's going to be a lot darker. I believe this one's going to be a little bit more demonic. So I think that could prove to be super cool. But I get to talk about a movie that we also just mentioned in the notes, and I'm very excited to talk about this. This is The Watchmen. It was released March 6th, 2009. I actually caught it a little bit later. I didn't watch it until I think 2011, which I never got to see in a theater. Kind of a bummer. The series. Did you see this one in the theater? I would have loved to have seen this one in the theater. It is a theater type of movie.
It's an epic
definitely a theater movie.
Yes, and it's a great movie if you guys haven't seen it. The series was created by a British collaboration consisting of writer Alan Moore, artist Dave Gibbons, and colorist John Higgins. Watchmen originated from a story proposal Moore submitted to DC featuring superhero characters that the company had acquired from Charlton Comics, directed by Zack Snyder. In an alternate 1985 America, costume superheroes are part of everyday life. When one of his former comrades is murdered, masked vigilante Rorschach. There you go. Played brilliantly by the very deep and menacingly voiced Jackie Earle Haley, uncovers a plot to kill and discredit all past and present superheroes as he reconnects with his retired associates, only one of which has true powers. Rorschach glimpses a far-reaching conspiracy involving their shared past and catastrophic consequences for the world's future. The Watchmen storyline is a pinnacle of DC Comics' upcoming 2018 storyline featuring the battle between Superman and Dr. Manhattan. Oh my God. The comic book story arc with Batman, Superman, and other members of the JLA could breathe new life into Alan Moore's Watchmen once again. So they're kind of pushing it towards a
When I wrote that sentence, I was like, Austin's going to lose his crap on this when I read this.
So cool, dude. I mean, the thing is, a lot of people haven't seen this movie, and a lot of people don't know who Dr. Manhattan is. So the comic readers are getting a dose of a little bit of Superman, a little bit of okay, so we're talking box office. The film grossed domestically and internationally $185.3 million, which is good. $55.2 million of that alone opening weekend at the U.S. box office. Watchmen sits 14th all time in the March openings as of April 2017, as well as the 14th largest opening for an R-rated film in North American history. Despite its financial success, The Watchmen clings to a 65% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, while IMDb ranks it at a solid user rating of a 7.6 out of 10.
7.6 is fair. Yeah.
So, I mean, 65 still fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, but
I mean,
I want more.
It's a great film. It is. If you've never seen The Watchmen, you need to just sit down this weekend and just watch it and enjoy it. It's cinematic beauty, and you'll be caught up and definitely be a
different flavor of superheroes. It's a little cocktail mix of different characters.
Very adult, very graphic. So just be mind of that.
Okay. Yes.
Lindsay Banner is giving us the final one. What is it?
The final of the list.
All right. So
Flash Gordon.
Flash.
All right.
I think we've all heard that Queen soundtrack before, haven't we?
Calm down now. All right, it was released on December 5th of 1980. This, I know Austin wasn't born. I wasn't born.
I was a year and 5 days old.
No.
So I was barely born.
I was somewhere.
Fresh out the womb.
All right, Flash Gordon is a 1980 science fiction action film created in Technicolor and Todd A.O., based on the King Features comic strip of the same name created by Alex Raymond. The film was directed by Mike Hodges and produced by Dino De Laurentiis, and it stars Sam J. Jones, Melody Anderson, Topol, and if you guys don't know what Topol is, Fiddler on the Roof. Hello. Max von Sydow, which is the Three-Eyed Raven.
He was in Star Wars.
And he is in Star Wars. And Timothy Dalton, Brian Bless, and Ornella Muti. The movie was co-written by Michael Allen of the Enter the Dragon fame, and Lorenzo Semple Jr., who had previously scripted De Laurentiis' remake of King Kong. It intentionally uses a camp style similar to the 1960s TV series Batman, for which Semple had developed and written many of the episodes, in an attempt to appeal to fans of the original comics and serial films. Although a box office success in the UK, it performed poorly overseas. The film is notable for its soundtrack, composed, performed, and produced by the one and only rock band Queen, with orchestral selections by Howard Blake. The film has since gained a significant cult following.
That it has.
Yes. Little throwdown on the storyline about this crazy movie.
Let's read that. Can't wait to hear
Flash
that.
Gordon. Flash Gordon is an American football hero who is skyjacked aboard Dr. Hans Zarkov's rocket ship along with his beautiful girlfriend, Dale Arden. The threesome are drawn into the influence of planet Mongo, ruled by the Emperor Ming the Merciless. The evil Ming has been testing Earth with unnatural disasters and deeming our world a threat to his rule. He also intends to take Dale as his concubine, attempts to execute Flash, and intends to destroy Earth. Flash must avoid the amorous intentions of Ming's daughter and unite the warring kingdoms of Mongo to rescue Dale and save our world.
Just hold on a minute. I can't take more.
Don't listen to that and not want to watch this.
It's the most epic synopsis of a movie I've read in a long time.
So this is what happens when you do an acid trip and then you write a movie script. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I've never done an acid trip, nor we do endorse any kind of drugs. But
Darth Baca in the chat says that George Lucas was supposed to direct this movie, but went on to Star Wars instead. I think that's a wise choice.
Thankful.
Well, shall we see how it fared at the box office?
Sure, drop it like it's hot.
With a staggering budget of $35 million for 1980, the North American box office return was $27.1 million. That's not exactly a hit. But due to the film's cult following and lore, it has since regained momentum and popularity among pop culture enthusiasts. And the Rotten Tomatoes gives Flash an 82%.
Jeez.
It gives him 82, but it doesn't give
an 82. And an IMDb chimes in at a 6.5 out of 10.
Well,
I think the Rotten Tomatoes is a little skewed.
That's one of the reasons why I put the Rotten Tomatoes up here, because I wanted to show how
it's a little skewed. Definitely.
I like seeing. Listen, this is a movie primed for a remake, is it not?
It really is.
Give me Matthew Vaughn, the director of Kingsman and Kick-Ass, and put him directing a Flash Gordon movie. Are you kidding me? Oh my God! Box
but do you feel it would still have the same effect without the campy, throwback style?
You would have to have that in there because that's just how it's based. Because, all right, so for example, let me give you a great example. Have you ever seen The Evil Dead, Ash versus the Evil Dead, or any of those? All right, you know how Bruce Campbell's character Ash is kind of like witty, and he's got these one-liners, and it's just cheeky comedy versus horror. Kind of the same thing with Flash.
God, that would be. Oh man, that would be perfect for a remake. Jeez.
Yes. By the way, Ash versus the Evil Dead on Stars, awesome.
I've not seen it. I'm up
to episode 5 right now.
I heard it's great. I heard it's really great.
It's pretty good. If you're an Evil Dead fan, you will definitely love it. But
awesome.
All right, guys. So we're getting ready to wrap things up here. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this week's episode where we talk about the top 10. Hopefully, you go out and just get a couple of these movies and kick back and some popcorn and watch them and enjoy them and just say, hey, you know what? PopX told me about this one, so I'm going to go watch it. So, and as always, if you see something exciting on the shelves at your local comic book shop or in theater and around geek culture in general, let us know on social media with our hashtag #YoPopX. Now, if you use the hashtag, we could, quote unquote, use your post on a future episode of PopX Live. So hashtag #YoPopX.
Yeah. Also, we are part of an amazing network called the Gonna Geek Network. For all things even more geeky, head over to GonnaGeek.com and check out some amazing podcasts from our home network.
Right here.
That's right. Make sure you check us out on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and Pinterest, all at PopXcast. Send comments and suggestions to us via the emails at popxcast@gmail.com. And for future in-past shows, make sure you head out over to our website at www.popx.com. Oh, popxcast.com.
Yeah. I'm Austin Burke at the Burkinator. I'm Austin Burke on YouTube. And if you guys have downloaded the Stardust app, it's an app where you can watch movies, review them, give you a rating. It's super cool, so download it.
I found you on the Stardust.
I know, Lindsay. I saw you were on there. It's really fun.
I added you on my Stardust.
Well, and if you're looking for me, my name is Lindsay Badger, and I'm at LR Badger pretty much anywhere on the internet.
Badger with a D.
With a D.
Badger.
B-A-D-G-E-R.
Badger. All right, now I am Joseph Burke at Joseph Burke Arts on the interwebs. And, of course, hats off always to my amazing Team PopX. Lindsay in Oklahoma, Austin up in parts of known in Kentucky, and Mr. Mike, who is back with us for the second week right here, down below in Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, look at this. He's really, yeah.
He's falling asleep. No, there he is. He's there.
But I want to say right quick, if you guys if you like this week's episode, be sure to comment below on the video and let us know what you thought about it. And if you have an idea for an upcoming show, we'd love to hear about it as well. And so also next week, this is going to be a really great episode. We're coming back next week. So October the 1st, we're coming right back, episode 63. Our returning guests from one of our early episodes, Retro Blasting, is coming back to PopX, and they just was at Dragon Con in Atlanta just last weekend. And so they're going to be telling us about some of the cool sides, some of the things. What are the trends in toy collecting now? What are people going towards the most? What is hot? What is valuable? And what is collectible? We're going to be sitting down with those guys. Look at that cool graphic.
They're really cool. They know their stuff, and they're awesome people.
They are really cool. And so Mike is going to be joining us on camera next week. He's going to be helping us conduct some of the questions and stuff like that. So we are really super excited for that. So that'll be next week, October the 1st. So that's pretty much it. That's all I got. Yeah. Anybody else?
Joe, listen, we got to give a hats off to you for getting us back together and being an awesome host. Come on, hats off to Joe, baby.
Here, I want to touch my stones.
Round of applause for you.
I got to touch my stones for a minute. Oh.
I've tickled him now. He's got to touch his stones.
So pretty. So pretty.
Well, while Joe's touching his stones, if you guys have any questions or anything you would like to specifically know from Retro Blasting, shoot us a note on one of the places I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, we would love to ask some awesome questions. So we'll need your guys' insight. That would be wonderful.
All right. Well, listen, you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We will be back next week. We got an interview guest. It's going to be awesome. Be sure to share these feeds. When you see our events posted, share them on your Facebook.
Help us grow.
Please.
Help us grow. Reach the people.
We'll give you a Scooby snack. I promise.
Ooh,
all right?
Scooby snack.
Yeah. Hello, Raggy. All right, guys. Take care. We are out of here. See you next week right here. Same bad time, same bad schedule.
Bye.
From everyone at PopXcast, thanks for listening. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and subscribe for more great content. Drop us an email, popxcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, all at PopXcast. Get your geek on.